Welcome to Drinks Coach. Summertime, and the living is easy. Lowercase Vinesack, lowercase Drinks Coach UK. Please contact you. Let me know what you want to see on my channel. Tell me what you thought of the stuff you have seen on my channel. Very recently posted a special at my friend's bar. He's just opened a wine bar in London. And to quote Stuart, the Holiday Hudson, hope you're watching. He wants to put the fun back in wine, and after lockdown and everything, I just thought that we should start the show by giving him a massive shout out. It's a bar just on the Highbury Islington roundabout, so if you come out the tube, you're 100 metres from it, and it's called Bar Liber, Liber. To launch his show, his bar, he made replicated a very famous punch from before the 1900s called the Empire Punch. And we put in 4 bottles of Chateau Lafite, 6 bottles of Dom Perignon, 3 bottles of 6 Petunias Tokai sweet wine from Tokai, half a bottle of Hennessy Paradis XO Extra cognac, half a litre of 25-year-old Appleton Jamaican rum. The list goes on, and the cocktail cost £100 per serve to make. And if you hurry up, you can go to the bar and you can pay that £100 and still try it, because I think it's got a few serves left. Does that sound stupid to you? It was the most amazing experience. And if you haven't seen it, look at my Drinks Coach special. I will upload it as a Drinks Coach show in its own right, although it's a bit sketchy because I'm not used to actually making films. But if you go on my Instagram account, you'll see it there. So yes, Stuart Hudson, you're a legend, and thank you very much also to Sly Augustin of Trailer Happiness in Notting Hill, my favourite social bar in existence, pretty much, for bringing the rum and being such great company that night. So, what are we doing now? Well, stop. If you just look at the screen, it looks like a massive advert for one guy, because today is a massive advert for one guy. Bruce Jack is a complete legend. Anybody who works in wine buying on any level, who's bought from multiple retailers anywhere in the world, almost certainly knows who Bruce Jack is. And Bruce Jack started off doing his own thing, and then just people wanted some of his magic. And in his own little way, is almost entirely responsible for the popularity of South African wine. And you know how much I talk about South African wine in this show, probably too much. But I was wondering what happened to Bruce Jack. It turns out he didn't go anywhere, and everyone's totally familiar with his wines, but I wasn't. I've been to maybe 24 press tastings at supermarkets. Not one of them has shown me a Bruce Jack wine. But just to give you a little Pracy history, he had a fantastic wine business in Somerset West, I believe, at an old armoury, and it was called Flagstone Wines, and he made some amazing wines. And my dear friend Nick Dimmock-Marr introduced me to Bruce Jack, who was great friends with him, who used to be the senior bar at Asda. And Bruce Jack is just a straight up and down solid guy. He's compassionate, he's modern, he is a man of great deep moral compass and sense of fair play. He's also intelligent, makes great wine, he's fascinated by history. He's just the all-round package, and he's just a lovely guy to spend time with. And after Flagstone was subsumed by the world's largest wine company, which started off being called Berry Marno Limited. Berry Marno joined Hardy, so it became BRL Hardy, and then Hardy joined some other stuff and became Accolade Wines. Flagstone became a part of that whole thing. I've never asked Bruce, but I'm pretty sure he did pretty well out of that. But then he carried on making what was the world's most significant, most important South African wine brand, which was Kumala. Then after that, he went on to other things. Now he has his own brands. And until 2 days ago, I'd never even tasted them or seen them before. Just to give some perspective, we've got some wines here which I've yet to try, which, knowing what Bruce is capable of, I'm quite excited about trying momentarily. What he's known for is this sort of stuff. Bruce Jack, South Africa, Chenin Blanc 2019. Bruce Jack, Reserve Collection, Sauvignon Blanc 2019. Now, I drank the Sauvignon too. If you buy a New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc that's from 2020 and it's really cheap, it's probably already tiring. You certainly wouldn't risk a 2019 if it was very cheap. But for £6 on offer or £7 permanently, you can buy these wines. And this wine is 2 years old, man. in major retailers, made in major quantities, and I thought, oh, it's probably going to be a bit tired. Maybe they didn't mean to send me this. Maybe they was meant to send me the 2020 or the 2021. Nope, it's current release. The Sauvignon 2019 was absolutely delicious and fresher than virtually any New Zealand Sauvignon Blanc I've tried from that vintage in the last 12 months. So it's extraordinary. He's still got the gift. Making clean, crisp, pure, honest wines, which say what they're supposed to say. If that's £7, I actually couldn't find the price for his Sauvignon Blanc and his Pinotage Reserve. But I'd be lying if I thought it was going to be more than £11 or £12. And I've tasted these wines. And they're flipping splendid. What can I say? This is Pinotage. When he was making Flagstone wines, he started and sourced a vineyard, and it continues to exist today, of a wine called Writer's Block Pinotage, which I think to this day is probably one of the 5 or 10 best Pinotage releases every single year. You know how much I've gone from being a Pinotage hater to a Pinotage lover. Well, secret out. Writer's Block Pinotage was the first Pinotage I really liked. So he's still making £10-ish Pinotage, which just sings of bright fruit, pristine flavours, lovely cut, that lovely dryish, grippy tannin that just makes it perfect for the blood that dribbles out of a ribeye steak straight off the barbie. Can't say fairer than that. So basically, I'm not going to talk about his cheap wines now. I just want people to remember who Bruce Jack is, and I wanted to do a show for him because he's always been very, very kind to me, always been very friendly, and in this case, sent me a whole bunch of wines. When I said, "What's happened to you, man?" He said, "I'll send you some wines. Let me know what you think." So here I am, propping him as I always do because he just doesn't make bad stuff. So move those to the side. I have 3 more wines here. This is a wine which I wanted to try to camera. I've been trying to put together a kind of a blend of premium Chardonnays show because I haven't done many shows where I'm talking about premium Chardonnays. This morning I was on a webinar with Susan Crowe, who's one of the greatest winemakers in Australasia, if not the world, and is head winemaker at the precious jewel in the crown of Australian winemaking, which is Yarra Yering. I think the first really great wine ever drunk from Australia was an early 80s Yarra Yering wine, and she made a Chardonnay today that blew my socks off. Absolutely blew my mind. And it reminded me that actually there was a time when all I wanted to drink was New World Chardonnay, of a quality. When everyone was going, oh, they're too oaky and they're too jammy, too pineapple-y. Well, not all of them were, and not all of them are. And in fact, if you go to Australia now and you spend anything over £10 or £15, you will get a Chardonnay which is of premium quality, will have, although we're not supposed to say this anymore, but it has minerality, it has a dryness and a steeliness, which I think is rather lovely. So this is his Reserve Chardonnay. And this is from a region which I certainly wouldn't pick as my probably top 10 places in South Africa to go and find Chardonnay, but if it's Bruce, it's Bruce. It's worth a try, and that's Bredekloof. And Bredekloof is an expansive, very, very fine wine area, which is largely, I believe, planted mostly with Chenin Blanc and Pinotage, 2 of his skills. Wonderful wine cellar not far from their Vin Mill Cellars makes the most incredible wines for. If you buy them in South Africa, they are literally £3 a bottle, and they're gold medal quality. What can I say? But this is Bredekloof Chardonnay Reserve. These labels are lovely and descriptive. I don't know if you can see at the front, but you can see that's a picture of Bruce Jack himself. Okay. Where have Chardonnays like this been? It's almost like they've been everyone's trying to be cool and trying to make Chardonnay into something different, and people have been doing that for 1,000 years now, and there's no need. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. This wine is beautifully bright and unctuous and mouth-watering, and it has all that tropical fruit that South African Chenin Blanc has, with an extra layer of texture and breadth, which still keeps Chardonnay in the race for world's greatest white grape variety ahead of Chenin Blanc and Riesling and things like that. This wine is dried apricots, fuzzy but not botrytis. I mean, clean dried apricots, white peach, hazelnuts from a really clever kiss of oak. Nothing over the top, but it's there because, let's face it, people drink Chardonnay like oak. Now I really wish I knew how much that cost, but I'm not sure it's even available in the UK. Yeah, there you go. Apricot and pear with a hint of vanilla. That's pretty much what I said. But if that wine's like under £15, then you will not find a better roast chicken Sunday white wine than that. If it's $11.99 or something, I'm going to buy a box of 6 of those just for roast chicken. That's what I'm going to do. Absolutely delicious. Bruce Manny, still killing it, dude. Okay, so the last two, I'm very excited about these two. What I'm going to do, I'm going to use a regular glass. Oh, by the way, many people have commented on my glasses on how dirty they are when I do my tastings. Well, they're not dirty. What I do is I have clean glasses and then I run them under a hot tap to get rid of any vestiges of washing up liquid or anything like that. And then I let them dry. And they dry with a little bit of cloudy chalk on it or something like that. But I just air dry them. Because that's the only way with my sensitive nose that I get a glass that smells of glass, i.e. of absolutely nothing. Otherwise, I get really, really sensitive to little subtle smells of dish towels and stuff. I can't do it. So, John Bakar, I think you made that comment. I do apologise. And it's not particularly sightly. And I apologise for that. But it's the only way that I can get to see the wine the way I want to see them. So, tough. Okay, so. This is a wine from an estate in Stellenbosch. No, it's in the Western Cape, forgive me. And it's called Mary Le Beau. Mary Le Beau belonged to Kenneth Frater, very good friend of Bruce, I believe, and had an amazing estate. And Bruce, when he could, would buy tiny amounts of fruit from this kloof that was making the most extraordinary wines. And Bruce thought, this is a great terroir in an area not known for parcels of greatness. I think there's a vineyard called Dark Horse where a chunk of Shiraz comes out, which is what this wine is based around, the wine that we're going to finish on. But it has Viognier, for example. Viognier planted in great soils with very low rainfall and arid sites are capable of greatness. There's already one super world-class Viognier, which is a Johnny-come-lately, if you like it, but made by incredibly talented winemaker, and she's at Lismore Wines. They had a terrible fire a couple of vintages ago, but hopefully they're recovering from that. But her Viognier is better than 80% of the premium Condriers of France, and that's just fact. Okay, so here I am wondering what Bruce Jack has made of a tiny parcel of very special, rare, curated Viognier that he's got his hands on. 2019, as I mentioned many times, is a favourite white wine vintage of mine. I think white wines are just so juicy and succulent, and they have acidity, but so much layering of fruit and texture that you almost feel there's not enough acid, but it's all there. And as the wines get older and they attenuate, lose their puppy fat, become sleeker, I think they're going to be the great white wines of South Africa. Here's a Viognier. Now, I don't know if it tells me how he's made it. On the back it just says 2019 white wine. Well, nicely, he hasn't sputtered on about how the wine's made, so let's just enjoy it for what it is. But he has talked about Mary Le Beau. Mary Le Beau's a church in the centre of London, and it's a church where people went from the Crusades and actually came back and got buried there. And apparently the Fraters have family buried in the church. It's one of the oldest Christian burial sites in London, which is extraordinary, and I think there's a lot of history behind this. I think there's something that's really encapsulated why Bruce has got involved in this and really caught his imagination. You'll see there's even like kind of a claymore sword at the top, sort of like an Excalibur sword, kind of swords that people during the Crusades would have brought out to the eastern lands. Okay, so let's have a crack at this. Now, these are proper wines. And the reason why I wanted to taste these on camera is because these wines are contract wines to market. These are why Bruce is the success he is, because he knows how to make successful wines cheaply and well. And wines that not only are good, but they also don't fall over once they're in the bottle. Immediately there are flavours which I associate with the variety. There's a hint of spearmint. There's some hedgerow leafiness to it, through which comes a taste of more sort of stone fruit, like a little bit of nectarine, vanilla. There's a bit of a almost avocado-y, custard apple-y richness to it. But for those people who love Viognier, which is a very big, rich, expansive wine, it's one of those white wines that's as rich as red wines, like Gewürztraminer, for example. And in fact, really, Viognier Gewurz can smell very similar sometimes. But this is a wine with great weight and gravitas and can be used almost anywhere a red wine can. I think this would be lovely with a slow-cooked suckling pig. Something like that would be amazing. Or something really rich and proteinous like barbecued lobster. Shellfish is definitely on the cards for this one. Absolutely fantastic wine. It's nowhere near giving its best yet. I feel like it's only just showing some secondary characters, but very pure, amazing extract, not oily in any way, a lovely resistance, a little bit of tannin in the wine, which probably just comes from the sheer concentration of the fruit. What can I say? Well, okay, until I know the prices, I'm going to say I'd be happy with knowing that Bruce almost always is over delivering at under price. I'd say that I'd love to know that was only £20. If it's more than £20, I'll still probably buy it, but 20 quid, nice. Okay, so moving on to the last one, Moveable Red. Moveable Red, Shiraz Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot. I think it's based around a very, very special block of Shiraz to Bruce Jack. Sorry, so much to try and remember in one show. Apartheid, it was 1994, was kind of when was in line with the time that modern European varieties were planted en masse. So let's guess, because there was very, very, very little Shiraz in South Africa before then. This is from D.O. Robertson, which I love. It's very beautiful as well. Robertson's a very cool area. Highish altitude. It makes fabulous Chardonnay, actually. This one's from 2015, so this is current release, and it's 7, count them, years old, which is awesome. It's almost like Rioja. You're getting the wine fully, well, maybe not fully mature yet, but 14 was an elegant vintage. It was very cool, very European vintage is how I describe them. And when you go to South Africa, you get people going, well, it wasn't ripe enough. There's too many pyrazines, too much green, too much herb. But that's in the context of other South African wines. When you bring them to the UK, they still have many of that, all those things going on. And actually, where a big, great structured vintage like 2015 has all that flavour and power, a 14 is more sleek. It's more linear. It's more pared back. So this wine's been blended from Shiraz, big, powerful wine, but in Robinson can often be very classically European and slightly peppery, a little bit of violets. Then this has also been blended with some, is it Cabernet Merlot, was it? I just said yes, Cabernet Sauvignon. Well, I've already banged on about the world's best Cabernet is coming out of South Africa right now. If it's not from Bordeaux, it's from South Africa. So I'd happily only drink those two. Sorry, Chile and Australia and everything else. You've all got some good stuff too, but it's all about price, and South African Cabernet is amazing value right now. And Merlot. Merlot in the New World is not very well treated, and there are very few people who know what to do with it. And I think the trick with Merlot is not to treat it by aromatics, because it changes so fast. When you first make the wine, the aromatic profile of the wine vastly changes between year dot and 6 months, and then 6 months and a year, and then 2 years. After 3 years, you can't recognise it from the original wine. So you've got to treat it more for its textural richness, treat it for its other properties. And it's kind of like the tofu of wine. It's what gives the wine a silken, supple texture. And very few sites on earth, like Pomerol, are capable of producing wines with enormous power. I think it's very easy to push Merlot too hard and make a wine that tastes jammy and flat and horrible. I don't imagine Bruce does that for a moment anyway. Let's have a look at this colour. Oh wow, that's beautiful. It does smell very ripe. Yeah, 14.5% alcohol. That's a walk in the park for South Africa. It could be at least a percentage higher point than that. Bordeaux 2010s were 16%, so look, it's just a new way of things. Oh well, that's heaven. That's heaven. Anybody thinks that 2014 isn't a good vintage? I maintain that it's very important to remember there's no such thing as good vintages, just good wines. And that's a good wine. Delicious. Thank you, Bruce. I'm paying 25 quid for that. Am I over the price? I'm not. I hope not. Absolutely fantastic wine. Great blend. It manages to show power like a Bentley, but you only have to push the accelerator that much, and it's all silk and class. Thank you very much. See you next time.